Okay, hello. Alright, we're gonna do something a little bit different than we usually do. Well, at least what I've usually been doing, because, I do plan on playing this game, which this game's name is Sickness. It seems like a little darker, like it might have some murder theme to it. I really don't know too much about it, but this is supposed to come out later this month. So this is actually the demo for this. So we're gonna give this one a shot, and we're gonna play through the demo here, and then when this game actually releases, we'll probably end up playing that too. Depends on the time frame on when that is. I might not start it right away. I might. We'll see. But I do plan on checking this game out when it actually comes out. So how about we give this demo here a try and see what this game is about? It does seem like it has a little bit of just from the first glance, it does seem a little darker themed. How about we start? Murder. One of the most heinous crimes a person can commit. The act of taking another human being's life, the act of robbing a person of their already limited time on this planet. It is a fear-inducing crime which anybody can commit. Every housewife, every student, every police officer is a potential killer. It's a crime that doesn't discriminate by blood or circumstance. It is a crime which can be committed by and make victims of just about anyone. Everybody remains both a potential killer and a victim, blissfully ignorant of the fact that they could be next, assuring themselves that it could never happen to them. And so, as a result of that naivete, those very people never see it coming. I'm trying to think of that word there a second. Naivete. I wonder if I'm saying that wrong. For some reason, I'm not sure what that word means. Is it supposed to be like naive or something? Or maybe it's spelt wrong, that's why I can't figure it out. Though the scene before me may seem horrific, in this case, as with so many others, there was no great story behind it. There was no build-up, no resentment between the victim and myself, no mutual hatred that gave us reason to fight. We didn't spend years at each other's throats. We had never fought before, and neither one of us saw this coming. In reality, this is the result of a simple, common scenario. One we've all heard of before. Oh shit, man. What kind of scenario? He looks like some sort of businessman. If you look at the loadout here on what's being presented to us on the screen, I see a stapler. I have no idea what that is next to the stapler. I could not come to the conclusion what that's supposed to be. And of course him. It looks like he's been beaten, kind of. Like, he looks like he has black and blue eye and some other shit. It looks like it wasn't just like a simple murder. It looks like he was smashed to death or something. Penny pinching employer, a bankrupt employee, and a denied paycheck. Truly, and there was nothing special about this encounter. My boss didn't taunt me or attempt to superate the situation. He didn't fire me, insult me, or do anything to tempt fate. If anything, I'm the one who made things worse. Rather than try to reason with him, I lashed out, beating the pompous man in front of me to a bloody pulp. Oh shit, so he did get beaten. Alright, so you beat your freaking boss? Shit, man. I thought you wanted to get paid. Now you're not going to be getting any money. I knew it wouldn't accomplish anything. I knew attacking him wouldn't give me the money I needed. And yet so he did understand that attacking this guy, he's not going to get his money by attacking him. I needed to punish him. Okay. That's right. Self-righteous as it sounds, I couldn't let him get away with what he did. The money that greedy bastard owed me, a pittance to him, was everything to me. It would have fed my sister and I, secured our lease for another month, perhaps even granted us a brief respite from the hell we're currently living. It was a shining beacon to our otherwise miserable lives, a way to ensure our survival during such a trying, stressful time. But because of that narcissist wimp, All hope I had of repairing my broken life vanished. He would deny me shelter, food, comfort, and for what? New seats for his car, a fancy watch, a new TV. And so, starting this injustice in the face, hearing firsthand how little my life meant to him, I snapped. Of course, as fitting as it may seem to recreate his indifference to my life by taking his, doing so was never my intention. True, I wanted to kill him. I wanted to make him suffer belittling my life, for denying me even a moment of peace. I still don't understand why he didn't get paid, It seems to be all about a paycheck. He just snapped for whatever reason that he's not getting paid. I don't understand the reasoning. He wasn't getting money? But I realized then, as I can clearly see now, that lashing out wouldn't solve anything. So why did I do it? Why would I resort to this? Why would I deliberately choose this no-win situation? If I were to commit a criminal act, why resort to violence rather than theft? If this were truly about my wages, why seek revenge rather than alternative means of compensation? Unfortunately, there's only one answer I can give in which I am confident. Using your mind. It isn't the first explanation that came to mind, but it does make sense. A few hours ago, I could have laughed at the cliche of a criminal blaming the voices in their head, even more so at the notion that a person would act on the silent words of an unseen entity. However, as evidenced by the corpse at my feet, those words aren't so easy to ignore. As I attempted to survive in this two-class society, willfully believing that I was somehow immune to the corruption and classism plaguing this town, there was always a voice whispering to me, telling me not to believe the good fortune around me. A voice filled with skepticism and doubt, preempting the inevitable, telling me to take action before it was too late. But you didn't listen. I noticed that every time that pops up, the screen gets more of those thorny things. That was my first mistake. I ignored the benevolent advice offered to me. Predictions now shown to be accurate, the good faith I received from someone asking for nothing in return. When it told me to stay in school and live with the guardian, when it told me to seek work elsewhere, when it told me to look for a home somewhere safer, I didn't listen. Every step of the way I fought against the sound, logical advice it offered. If anything, I made a point of doing the opposite of what the voice told me to do. Or, at least, till you heard what you wanted to hear. And that was my second mistake. It wasn't that I refused to heed the voice's advice. I simply wasn't interested in taking the safe, responsible route. Though, by the time that the violence had become the advised course of action, my path had already been determined. Damn, man. Chapter 1, A New Life. One evening, September 5th. Less than half an hour ago, in this very room, I committed a serious crime. A very violent crime, the kind of crime for which people go to prison without any hope of ever leaving. Or, in some cases, depending on where your location, it might even be the death penalty. I lost control of myself, attacked my boss, and without a doubt, ended my short time working in this place. I acted on impulse as I stared in the face an injustice that threatened to take away my home, allowing myself to do the only thing I could to avoid feeling powerless. But as the adrenaline wore off and the tension cooled, I soon realized my mistake. I saw clearly that the fresh corpse at my feet, the stained carpet beneath it, and the bloody hands responsible for everything before me. And so I stared at my own handiwork, accepted the gravity of the situation before me, and took immediate steps towards gaining control once more. Marcus, okay. When you called me here, I figure you needed my help with something not strictly legal. But this? Well, my man, you have outdone yourself. You really do have a bright future ahead of you. Unfortunately, given my dire situation, my options were quite limited. An immediate prison sentence in the face, I called upon Marcos, a co-worker of mine. Contrary to his crappy dye job and lean figure, Marcus is a man of many trades, several of which aren't entirely illegal. Since the moment I began working here, Marcus had been open about his criminal dealings, more than once hinting that he could help me, or vice versa. And now that things have come to this, it's time for him to make good on that promise. Wait. Less talking, more lifting. I'm here to help you two out, not take care of everything myself. The second Marcus saw our boss in his current state, he understood the situation. Without asking a single question, he promised to help me out of my predicament, thereafter calling a man whom I had never met before. And surely enough, upon seeing our boss's corpse, the stranger smiled to himself and grabbed Mr. Mundo's legs, dragging his body into the doorway before requesting assistance. Don't be like that. Surely a big, strong man like you can lift that weedy piece of shit by yourself. And get this poor sap's blood all over me in the process? Either give me a hand or do this yourself. Marcus and his acquaintance carried my boss's corpse into the stranger's van, which was parked just outside of Mundo's office. Damn, what are these two thinking of, getting in return? What kind of compensation? I mean, who the hell helps you dispose of a dead body, which clearly was murder, because now these two people are accomplices to that murder, because now they're trying to get rid of the evidence. Of course, they probably wouldn't be sentenced for actual murder, but for, trying to dispose of the body and help hide it up type of thing. They would probably still get something if it was found out. So it's not like, why would you, there would either have to be a really good friend the person was like a really bad person I really thought was a really bad person or something. It's like, if someone I knew asked me to help dispose of the body, I'd be like, yeah, the hell am I getting in return here? I am putting my own future on the line here by helping you. Thanks to the proximity of my boss's office, nobody here heard our ruffle over the machinery used within the warehouse, and Marcus's acquaintance was able to block visibility and access to the office with his vehicle. Even so, despite knowing how fortunate my circumstances were, I couldn't help but feel anxious. Are these two successfully cover up Mundo's death or not? There's no way this can end well. All it would take is one witness, or a slip of the tongue, and I could wind up in prison. And even if I do get away with this, what's then? Will I be indebted to Marcus forever? Will he ask for something extreme in return for his silence? That's what I mean, man. You have asked for these two people. Now, you're pretty much at the mercy of them. Unless you want to kill them as well. At some point, you're basically... it's either something may come up and you have to do their bidding, no questions asked type of situation, unless you want your future to be gone. No matter what scenario I envision, it doesn't bode well for me. No man. It's kind of a lose-lose, I think, for you. You've gotten these two people that I don't think you really know that well. You one a total stranger, and another one a coworker that I don't know if he really is, that close, would really be a friend. He's just a coworker that that dabbles in maybe illegal stuff. I'm assuming this is probably not the first time he has dealt with a dead body and trying to dispose of it, though. Phew, that bastard's heavier than he looks. Tell me about it. I thought my corpse handling days were long over. His corpse handling days? This guy sounds like the right person for the job, but just who is he? Anyway, I'll handle the disposal. You two clean up in here, alright? You're the boss, Andrea. Just leave the rest to us. After all, that'll give us time to talk about repayment. I knew that was probably going to come up at some point. I mean, these two aren't doing this for free. There's no hell way. There's no way they're doing something that put their own future on the line for free. And there it is. It's not unreasonable for Marcus to expect something in return. I called on him knowing full well that I need to repay the favor. Even so, just thinking about how he'd expect me to repay something like this. What do you have in mind, exactly? Oh, nothing big. At least, not for someone like you. But really, before we get into that, I've got to tell you. I picked you as a fighter for the moment we met, but to actually kill someone? I seriously underestimated you. Marcus makes it sound like I planned on killing Mundo from the start. But I'm no killer. Even if I've been in my fair share of fights, I've never tried to kill someone before. With that in mind, I have the perfect job for you. I'm sure he does. Is he gonna have you kill someone else? It's like you've killed once. Now to repay, you gotta kill someone for me. But given the events leading up to this moment, I have to ask. Is it a legal job? I highly doubt it is. Sure, why not? Sure, why not? As long as you don't get caught, of course. Figures. Oh, cheer up. I'm just messing with you. I've got the perfect job in mind for you. You'll be able to rake in money, feed that aggression of yours, and pay off your debt almost immediately. Interested? Hang on. You're offering to pay me while I repay you? Of course. Considering the reason why we're here, I thought it would be better not to get between you and your money. Whatever the case, what kind of job are we talking about? I brought you here to get me out of trouble. There won't be any point if you just drag me in deeper. You really don't have any faith in me, do you? Well, so be it. Just keep in mind that you're worth more to me alive and, well, than in prison. And that is a fair point. Not that you have any choice. Choice anyway, that's pretty much it. You pretty much have him on a leash. If you want all of this kept secret, then you're going to do exactly as I say. Richmond, a town riddled with crime and corruption. Richmond is a vast town, a collection of smaller districts, each varying significantly in terms of wealth, ethnicity, and population density. Large enough to entrap millions of everyday citizens, yet dense enough to suffocate any who dare reside within. It's a complicated town, misunderstood even by those living within its walls. But beyond the size and scope of this town, there's one aspect which stands out above all others. Concentration of wealth. This is a town wherein the wealthy flock together, creating their own small utopia. They build up selective parts of the city, sculpt the law to their liking, and generally get away with whatever their bank balance will allow. The end result has been the creation of a state-sized town comprised of countless districts, state-sized town districts, varying from wealth, these suburbs filled with hospitals and schools, to those lacking even phone lines. Put simply, this is a two-class society, heavily favoring the rich. As someone living in a wealthy suburb while working among the poor, I'm fairly familiar with both sides of the city. Thanks to those who cling to every cent, labor can be commissioned for next to nothing, making Richmond a surprisingly cheap place to live. Public transport is constant, resources are plentiful, infrastructure is abundant, and the town keeps growing. For those with the money to support themselves, this isn't a bad place to live. On the other hand, with so much competition for work, most residents have no choice but to accept whatever work they can and to slave away for as little as necessary. Slave wages are standard practice. Workplace safety laws don't apply, and it's every man for himself. For anyone without a white-collar job, this town is hell. And with mere weeks left on my lease, it won't be long before my sister and I experience the hell for ourselves. Of course, looking back over our lives until this point, I can't really complain. Before our parents passed away, Sarah and I lived sheltered, easy lives, never worrying for a second about housework or finances. We lived good lives in a safe neighborhood, We attended an adequate school, ate healthily, and were never far away from medical help. So now, even with all that being stripped away, we're still better off than most others in our situation. Or at least we would be. If I hadn't just single-handedly destroyed our new lives. Now, I don't know how old your sister is, man. I'm assuming she's younger than you. I don't think you've destroyed her life, really. You've probably put a dent in it. I mean, she seems to be relying on you as, you know, the one who to hold the finances in the building and a place to live and probably food and other things like that. But that does not mean that she couldn't still get by. It definitely put a dent in her future, but it wouldn't. I don't. You're the one who's really in the problem, going to have the issues. No matter what excuse I give, whether I blame my boss's penny pinching, the foreign anger I felt surging through my body, or merely my desperate need for cash, it doesn't change the fact that I killed a man. Even so, I don't feel guilty. I barely even regret the loss of life. If anything, it was the most fun I've had in months. A single moment of pure bliss, taking me away from the harsh reality of my new life. Rather, what's eating away at me now is the imminent aftermath. Thanks to my selfish actions, act of revenge and self-indulgence, I now have to explain to my only family why, after a mere 2 weeks in this house, we'll be forced to move again. Without a stable source of income, we won't be able to live here much longer, and I refuse to allow my sister to be subjugated to the discrimination and crime that makes the city so unlivable for the poor. But with my only chance of recovery resting in the hands of a friend who essentially blackmailed me into meeting with him tonight, I have no illusions over how this will go. I don't really consider him a friend, but I see why friend is in quotations there. So, if my choices are to give Sarah a fair warning before her lease expires, or to place my faith in a criminal whom I've known for a mere 2 weeks, then... well, can I even call that a choice? As soon as I entered my temporary home, I noticed a pleasant scent coming from the kitchen. Following my nose, I traced the source to the scent back to the chef of the household, who immediately ran over to my side. Ah, welcome back! Thank you. I thought it was about time for you to get home. I've been waiting all afternoon. The young girl waiting for me was Sarah, my twin sister. Oh, a twin sister. So she must be old enough to get off by her own. I mean, if she's the same age as you, I don't see why she couldn't get by herself. The only family I have left. Unlike me, Sarah is still in school, so she's been getting home a few hours earlier than I have lately, giving her ample time to take care of the household chores. Kind, gentle, dependable, smart, Sarah is the image of an ideal little sister. One without whom I have never made it this far. I'm not that late, am I? Not at all. In fact, you're just in time. In time? In time for what? Given my first observation upon entering the house, I already had a good idea of what waited me. However, even with Sarah standing before me while wearing an apron, something didn't seem right. In a house with few appliances and shelves stocked with cheap instant food, my sister, who had never cooked for me before, had somehow whipped up a proper meal in anticipation of my return. Could ignore the fact that this house smells like real food for once, but where on earth did the ingredients and utensils come from? Since Sarah and I began living on our own, we've been eating instant food every day, unable to afford anything better. With the petty cash we had left, there's no way Sarah could have bought any of this. In the saucepan we have white sauce with chunks of sun-dried tomatoes, and in the pot we have fettuccine pasta. I hope you're hungry. Hungry is an understatement, but if there's one thing more powerful than my stomach, it's my curiosity. Well, pasta really isn't that expensive, man. I mean, just, basically like spaghetti or something like that. That's really not a very expensive food. I mean, the most expensive thing out of making spaghetti would probably be, like, the Parmesan cheese. The noodles would be, like, the cheapest component. And then probably the sauce, or if you decide to put anything else beyond the sauce, would be the next. And then, of course, if you want, Parmesan cheese or something on top, would be the most expensive. It's really not that expensive of a meal. Sarah, where did you get the money for all of this? And since when have you known how to cook? I go out of my way to cook your dinner, and this is how you react? Oh, look at that little potty face. Look at that little potty face. Whoa. Puffing out her cheek like that. Fine then. I guess I'll just have to eat it all myself. Sigh. I knew I should have stopped after the first question. Oh well, forget it. Or probably just borrowed some things from school, or from one of her friends. Anyway, where have you been? Usually you'd have been home an hour ago. Shit, that's right. Given the situation, I hadn't even thought about what time it was. Oh. Excuse or dismiss her question. Whew. I don't know how we should approach this. Should we just make an excuse? Well, nah, better just play it off. An excuse made up on the spot would just make her suspicious. Just at work. I must have lost track of time. Anyway, did I miss anything? Now that you mention it, something did arrive for you. I removed her apron, simultaneously taking out an envelope from her pocket. Sorry, I know I shouldn't have opened it. Sarah handed me in the envelope, which she had attempted to reseal after opening. I peered inside the envelope, and within it I found money. Wait a minute. There has to be at least $2,000 in here. I spent a little on utensils and some fresh meat and vegetables. You can't eat instant noodles every day, you know. Sarah explained to me why the envelope was no longer full, but as I vacantly stared at the money in my hands, she hadn't even bothered. Even at the payout was promised, I should have made less than $1,000 in total. Were there to be over double that left after Sarah's expenses? This must be Marcus's doing. He knows I need money and that I won't be able to pay him back unless I accept his job offer. Furthermore, Marcus sent the money straight to my sister, eliminating the possibility of me refusing or returning the money. And she already spent some of it too, man. But how did he get the money to my sister so early? He knew ahead of time that Mundo would refuse to pay me. Why would I still don't understand why Mundo refused to pay him for? This is all just... What are you waiting for? Come on, get it while it's hot. Interrupting my agitated thoughts, Sarah took me by the hand and led me into the living room. Sitting on the table in front of the couch were placemats, paired with shiny, cutlery, more goods we didn't own mere hours ago. Furthermore to that, 2 steaming plates entered my vision moments later, as Sarah made another quick stop in the kitchen, bringing with her a heavenly scent. Come on, put down the money and eat. As intrigued as I was by the scene before me, the thought of putting down the cash-filled envelope had yet to cross my mind. After all, before I could relax and eat dinner, there was still something I needed to clear up. I will, but before that, how and when did you get this envelope? Didn't your boss tell you? The envelope was mailed here sometime today. Well, I get that envelopes are made to be mailed, but an envelope with this much money in it? That's just careless. And extremely suspicious. And you're just making your own little statement there a little suspicious as well. In my opinion, you're going to make her question some stuff as well about it. Possibly. I hadn't really thought about that. I just found it slipped under the door before I got home. Oh, so it wasn't even actually mailed, it was just slipped under your door. That isn't much to go on, but it does confirm my earlier suspicion. Sarah gets home hours before I do. If this money came from Marcus, he really must have known what would happen ahead of time. I'm curious on that situation. Like, how did you get this money in your house and Marcus knowing about this? What the hell? Damn it. It feels like I'm being played by that bastard. Enough about that. Sit down and eat already. You'd better not be stalling because you're afraid to eat my cooking. What? Of course not. Though it is true that she's never cooked for me before. Oh well, it certainly smells nice enough. Wow, this is actually pretty good. It might be because I've been eating instant food for weeks on end, but this tastes like something I'd actually pay for. Stare. She's watching him. Though it might taste better if a certain someone wasn't analyzing every bite I take. Let's tease her. Whoa! This is amazing! You really think so? Absolutely. You'd make a great wife one of these days. Huh? Jeez, what are you talking about? Who would be a great wife? Don't sell yourself short, my dear sister. Any guy would be lucky to have you. Though, I suppose your attitude and sense of style could use some work. You really think that? Wait, what was that? You're the last person in the world who should be lecturing me on my style. No, I meant it as a compliment. How's that a compliment? Haha, no, this is more like it. Sarah's so much fun to tease. She's really easy to wind up. Whatever the case, it really is nice to be eating real food again. What are you talking about? It's only been a couple weeks, you know. For you, maybe. But I've gone from a month of hospital food straight to nothing but instant noodles. Oh, right. I guess it has been a while for you. Much as I try to sympathize with Sarah, my life hasn't been so grand lately either. After suffering a severe head injury and losing months' worth of memories as a result, I received the grim news that our parents had been killed in a car crash. Worse, since the circumstances surrounding the crash were deemed suspicious, their assets were frozen, leaving Sarah and I without a dime. Finally, without any close relatives who we could rely on, I had little choice but to quit school and find a job, assuming responsibility for Sarah's well-being. So now, after suffering so much hardship in such a short amount of time, being able to indulge in a peaceful home life like this is a dream come true. Either way, you're right, it is nice. It feels like we've finally gotten some piece of our old lives back. I couldn't agree with you more. And with that in mind, dear sister, what's the next step of the Tesla Family Restoration Project? The what? If we're going to restore our lives to what they were, we need to plan out what we're going to do. What's next? A car? A bigger TV? A live-in maid? Like I'd let you get a live-in maid, you pervert. But you do have a point. We should have some kind of plan to manage from now on. What do we need next? There are a lot of things still missing from this house. The facilities work, and we have minor luxuries like a television and refrigerator, but it's still a far way off feeling like home. It's not something we need to figure out right now. Just give it some thought. Right. I shouldn't get too excited about spending money we don't even have yet. Besides, we should be going to bed soon anyway, so... Right, we should get a second bed. What, they only have one bed? Huh? I mean, even if there's only one bedroom in this house, there's still room for another bed. That way, we wouldn't need to share anymore. They freaking sleep in the same bed? Wow. I'm sure many people would get the wrong idea if I said that I sleep with my sister, but there's really nothing dubious at play here. That's the first thought that came in my mind. I'm not gonna lie. When he said that, I'm like, wait a minute, you sleep in the same bed with your sister? I mean, you guys have to be at least still in high school age time frame, at least, you know, pretty close to like 16, between 16 and 18, somewhere in that time frame. I think age-wise. This house only has a single bedroom, and until now we couldn't afford a second bed. Furthermore, when I suggested that I take the couch, Sarah insisted that I needed to sleep properly for work, and I could tell that she didn't want to be left alone in an unfamiliar house. Given the situation, I'd say our decision was correct. That's a waste of money. It is? But don't you want a bed of your own again? I mean, surely you're sick of it. Focus on things we need, not things we want. Besides, it's getting late. We should think about it tomorrow. I guess my idea wasn't as bright as I thought. Maybe Sarah isn't ready to sleep alone yet, after all. Regardless, Sarah was right about one thing. We shouldn't get too excited about spending money we don't even have yet. I should have told Sarah where the money came from, and that there might not be any future payments like it, but I let the atmosphere go to my head and afraid to break the mood. For the first time since our parents died, Sarah was happy, and if tonight pans out, I'd be satisfied merely prolonging her happiness, even just temporarily. After taking a shower and storing my earnings, I retired to my bedroom for a few hours of sleep. Sarah fell asleep by my side, tightly clinging to my torso, greedily stealing my body heat until I too lost consciousness. Unfortunately, as nice as a peaceful, relaxing night and a warm bed sounds tonight, that pleasure will be short-lived. Whatever Marcus had planned, midnight is the deadline he gave me, and I don't plan on being late. Midnight meetings and corpse handling aside, the fact of the matter is that Marcus has already compensated me for work not yet done, not to mention the promise of more to come. Whatever reservations I had about this, I can't afford not to go. At the very least, I need to hear him out and see what he has in mind. And if the job he has lined up for me is as violent and well paid as my night so far would suggest, then there are worse ways to make a living. Eyeing the clock on the wall facing our bed, I snuck away from my sister's side, carefully not to wake her. I slowly removed her arms from around me, placing my body with the pillow I had been using until moments prior. Then tiptoed out of the bedroom and through the living room, not making a sound the entire trip. It's a shame to have to leave her side like this, but tonight, there's somewhere else I need to be. Parking garage. Following the unfamiliar route detailed to me earlier in the day, I made my way around to a part of town I never thought I'd need to visit. Among the many districts of Richmond, this is one of the poorest and definitely not a good place to be, at least at this time of night. There's no police presence to speak of. Most of the stores are closed or abandoned, and there's absolutely zero maintenance being done. As soon as Marcus told me where we'd be meeting, I knew the job he had lined up for me couldn't be legal. Just what am I getting myself into here? Jeez, took you long enough. I was beginning to think you chickened out. The moment Marcus and I met face to face, he opened his unusual level of compassion. Chicken out of what? I don't even know why I'm here. You're here because it's one of the few places in town where someone like you can actually make money. No, that isn't what I meant. I'm in a shabby neighborhood in the middle of the night, prepared to make money from legally questionable work, and you're still only telling me the bare minimum. You can't keep me in the dark forever, Marcus. I guess you're right. But really, relax already. It's honest work, I assure you. In this part of town, this late at night, I doubt it. Alright, so what now? Just follow me, you'll understand soon enough. Marcus turned around and walked to the side entrance of the buildings joined by the car park. He removed a keyring from his pocket and unlocked a steel-framed door, turning back for a moment to smirk as though daring me to follow him. So I did. Following right behind Marcus, I entered the dreary building, immediately confronted by a dusty staircase within. The path before us was dark, dirty, and every bit as eerie as the one would think a midnight stroll in an unsavory neighborhood might be. Despite that, the staircase appeared to be maintained, or at least not dilapidated. Moreover, a bit faint, I could definitely see light coming from below. And it looks like a fighting ring? Kind of like... So he's gonna have you fight. Probably white people, probably some sort of audience. I wonder if it's like a fight to the death, though. What awaited us at the bottom of the staircase was an arena. In the center was a boxing ring, and beyond that were grandstands akin to those I usually see in football stadiums. Despite the massive size of the venue before us, there were only a few other people present, all mulling around near the top of the grandstands. The lights remained dim, and for all intents and purposes, Marcus and I were essentially alone. So, what do you think? Pretty impressive, huh? That's one word for it. What the hell is an arena like this doing down here? I believe the word you're looking for is stadium or ring. Anyway, where else would it be? Events like these can't take place in the open, you know. Not even in Richmond. Events like these, it's just a boxing ring, right? In a way. Interested? In boxing? I'm not a fan of watching sport, but come to think about it. Just wait a little longer. Another 5 minutes and this place will be open to the public. Then you can tell me if you're interested in bashing skulls for a living. So he's gonna have him, beat up some people. Well, Marcus and I hung around the bottom of the dark staircase, and interest apparently reserved for staff, spectators began to storm in from between the grandstands. Hundreds, if not thousands, of spectators flooded the grandstands, soon filling the arena, which had been empty only minutes ago. The grandstands were filled, the ring gained fighters. Best of all, the betting began. Holy crap, look at all that money. Just how much are those people betting? Despite being so far away from the action, I could clearly see large stacks of money changing hands. The spectators practically threw money at the staff taking bets, growing all the more excited as the fighters for the first match began warming up. Figured you jump straight to that. Yes, there is that side of business, and yes, a lucky man can make himself a small fortune down there. But competing is where the real money is, and there aren't any rules against betting on yourself either. So, let me ask you again. Are you interested? Interested in that kind of money? Absolutely. But as far as competing goes, I don't know how we should do this. Let's do it. Marcus does have a point. If I learn how to fight professionally, then proceed to bet on myself, I could make a lot of money. It would also give me an outlet, somewhere to vent my frustration, rather than on unsuspecting victims like Mundo. And here's the question though, you're probably gonna end up going home with, bumps and bruises and, maybe even scars, maybe gashes. What is your sister gonna think when you come home and you're all beat the crap out of? Because it's not like you're probably gonna win every fight. But that's the best case scenario. Realistically, I might not even land a hit on my opponent, let alone prove efficient enough to profit from a career in boxing. You don't even know the rules. You don't even know if this is really boxing. We don't know the rule set. This could be like a fight to the death, for all you know. First one dead is the winner. I could just end up broken and broke, worse off than ever. Maybe, but I'd rather find a more stable source of income. Your loss. But if that's how you feel, then I suggest you set your sights on the man above the grandstand to your left. Despite our poor vantage point, I did as Marcus suggested and gazed toward the grandstand to the left of the boxing ring. Above the grandstand was a glass panel, a viewing booth, with a single shadow being cast from within. Behind that bulletproof glass is the owner of this fine establishment, Mr. Karasu. Impress him and you can make a comfortable living without ever setting foot inside the ring. Now that is worth noting. A place like this must rake it in. I'd be foolish not to try and get in on something like this. Make a living? How? What kind of business does he run? Forget I said anything. Let's just make a silly bet between friends, okay? Who do you think will win this next match? Macho Man or the little Jap? Huh. With both fighters for the next match already center stage, I could clearly tell who Marcus was referring to. Before us were two men in their 30s, one in blue trunks and one in red. Blue was a Caucasian man. For my position, he appeared to be at least 6 feet tall, with a shoulder width to match his impressive stature. His opponent seemed to be a head shorter, a Japanese man with a slim build, probably a martial artist or some variety. I'm sure they're both professionals, given their presence here, but if I'm asked to choose the victor, I'd say... I don't know, it's hard to take on one, because, size isn't always everything. I mean, realistically, you could sell the Macho Man. Definitely has a stronger build, probably weighs more. From what you can tell just from looking, he has more muscle mass. But that doesn't mean he's better, per se. We don't know. We've never seen the Japanese guy right here before. So this is pretty much a shot in the dark. You can't judge something purely based on looks. I mean, there is an advantage to someone who is bigger, but it doesn't always mean they're going to win. I'm going to go with the Japanese man. The Jap. I'd rather not make a bet with Marcus, but I guess it can't hurt if there aren't any stakes. Alright then, I guess Macho Man is mine. With our bets having been placed, neither one of us said a word as we waited for the match to begin. Even if we wanted to talk, it took enough concentration to simply observe from such distance, let alone speak. If not for the significant difference in stature, I doubt I had even been able to tell the figures apart. Oh. The instant the bell rang, the outcome had already been decided. It looks like Japanese man lost. I guess I'm not too surprised, actually. I mean, I just wanted to go see if they wouldn't take the more obvious possible one for winning. One who pro won. In a split second, the massive Caucasian swept his opponent's legs, sending him to the floor. He then threw his legs around the Japanese man's arm, pushing against his elbow like a lever as it threatened to snap. Arg! Arg! The Japanese man cried out in pain and his arm bent backwards at the elbow. But his screams were overpowered by the crowd, who shouted out for blood, spurring on the giant he had been pinned against. God, no more, I give! The man in blue paid no heed to his opponent's pleas for mercy. I'm assuming there really isn't any rules, per se. Even as the Japanese man cried out in pain, forfeiting without hesitation, the giant continued on, glaring at his opponent without even a hint of sympathy. Is he actually going to break his arm? Despite how overwhelming one side the fight proved to be, the crowd continued to cheer, seemingly more interested in seeing blood than a match. That's what I was thinking. They probably just this match is probably more designed to be actual, quite violent. And so in response to their lust for violence, he's going to snap his arm, isn't he? The Caucasian man happily carried out his job. The sound of the Japanese man arm being snapped in two was silenced by the crowd, most of whom were quiet as it echoes reached their ears. Medical staff rushing into the ring carried the fallen fighter out post-haste, and gamblers lined up to collect their payouts, leaving the remainder of those present in shock and awe. Not all Asians practice martial arts, you know, and that's what I mean. We don't know anything about him. Personally, that's wasn't what I was thinking. I'm like, you know, he could be. I mean, he's in the fight, but we don't know what the hell. We're taking a blind statue here, so I wanted to give the benefit of the doubt to him. Otherwise, I would have went for the bigger one. Yeah, I did have a feeling. I wasn't sure how they would take it, but apparently, that Japanese guy was nothing special. You'd better learn to analyze your opponent a little better if you want to become a professional fighter. Yeah, but you can't just. Not all of them are, but you also can't misjudge them because of size. I mean, it can go both ways, man. I mean, if you knew your opponents before, if you've seen them fight, or know a little bit about them, maybe you would be able to judge, but we know nothing. I thought the bigger guy probably would have been the more better chance of winning. Marcus tried to speak to me, but whatever he had to say, I wasn't interested. Even after the match had ended, my mind was in the ring, replaying the scene that had transpired mere moments ago. I feel the blood drain from my face even before the decisive moment, at which point there wasn't a single hair on my body not standing on end. Marcus dragged me here with promises of money, making it sound like my worries were over. A legal job, one in which I could act violently and make money from doing so. Boxing fit that description, and for a moment there, I could even see myself wearing boxing gloves and trunks, duking it out with some other money-hungry athlete. But what I just saw, whatever it was, that's not happening. Marcus can't possibly expect me to get in a ring like that, getting my legs broken for his sadistic boss's amusement. I may be desperate, but no sum of money is worth that. After the last of the spectators and staff members have left the stadium, only two figures lingered in the underground lair. Hidden behind thick glass, watching over the match from afar, the duo began to wind down as the night's festives came to a close. What a night. I can't even remember the last time I watched a fight live. Were they always this gruesome? Japanese, man. The pairings are usually more balanced. There's no profit in matches with obvious outcomes after all. Usually, as in not tonight? You have to ask. You specifically requested that we skew the pairing so that different weight classes would fight one another. I did. That doesn't sound like me. Well, you didn't put it quite like that. You wanted to find someone lean, fast, and strong, right? Someone who would punch above their weight class. Ah, right. But isn't the selection method a little counterproductive? Why are you asking me? It was your idea. Oh, I see. Well, scratch that. There has to be a less costly method, right? Yes, sir. I'll start spreading word that we're recruiting, and I'll keep your criteria in mind. No. You can't pin this one on me. It's your criteria, Sai. I wouldn't have a clue what to look for. Very well. I'll pass along my criteria and expand the recruitment drive to include younger fighters. Even then, it might take a while. Finding someone capable is only half the battle. The real challenge is finding someone who's not only emotionally and mentally stable, but also desperate for money. And ruthless enough to kill for it. Sickness. Chapter 2. Sadist. Oh, actually, I think that's a good place to stop off this demo here. This seems to be a little bit longer than I anticipated it might be. I wasn't expecting the demo to be this lengthy. I don't know if this is the end of the demo. I guess we'll figure out. Or how much more might be left of this demo. So, how about we end this off here? We will continue this maybe tomorrow or something. We'll get this demo up and done at some point, and we'll look forward to the actual full release. Well, guys, I want to thank you for watching this. Hopefully you enjoyed this. Tell me your opinions on this, if you have any. Feel free to put in the comments. If you want to keep up to date on this series, as well as plenty of others, feel free to subscribe. And in the description box, I will have a link to the demo if you wish to check it out yourself. I will also have a link to where you can find out, find more of my stuff if you want to keep up to date on that. Again, guys, I'm going to thank you for watching, and you all have a great day.